What's going on, guys? Welcome to the latest episode of Can I Kick It? Joining me are two exciting guys from Charlotte Independent. This is also, I believe, I want to correct me if I'm wrong, the head of USL Black Players Association, Mr. Brandon Miller, and Richmond Kicker fans would know him, of course, Mr. Hugh Roberts. How are you guys doing today?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thanks for having us on.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having us.
No problem, man. Like we were saying before we started, I just want to say kudos to you guys for starting this organization. We know MLS has already started their own this summer, but you guys decided to start your own, and I think it's an important piece of this battle that we're fighting.
Absolutely. I mean, everyone's seen what the MLS players have done, Black players in MLS, and I mean, we were kind of on that same wave during the same time frame. It just it took us a little bit longer to get organized. Having 47 teams across two leagues, it takes a bit of time, but it's definitely an exciting time, and we're definitely looking forward to making a lot of changes within the league and being an impactful organization outside as well.
Yeah, most definitely. I imagine it had to be hard to get all 47 teams and their players kind of all on the same page.
Yeah, it took a whole process. It took, probably once this whole Jacob Blake shooting happened, kind of turned things up for us with NBA, MLB, MLS, all protesting. We were like, this is a great time for us to capitalize on this moment and announce ourselves and also do something that's collective throughout the whole league. So yeah, it really came down to like the last 48 hours from Thursday to 24 hours, from Thursday to Friday, and everything was crunched on a time basis because games were Friday night. So we had like a 2-hour meeting the night before with a bunch of guys within the BPA trying to figure out what kind of protests we wanted to do. And ultimately, since we have so many different diverse clubs and we're all trying to show unity, we figured it'd be best if we gave each individual club the right to do their own thing, but do some kind of movement that is still unified amongst the whole championship and League One. So it took a lot of time and, kind of rushed some things within the last 24 hours, but it all came to fruition. It was definitely worth it.
Yeah, it was definitely. So before we dive into everything that we're going to talk about, I know you guys are in Memphis right now. And I know Memphis was one of the teams that just elected not to play. How is everything going on there in the city, and how are their players doing?
I've had discussions with a couple of the players today, and they're all on board to play tomorrow and continue, the protest movement within the league. But I know, like you said, we left it up to each club individually to decide how they wanted to protest and if they wanted to do that. And Memphis decided, for their game on Saturday that they wanted to sit out, and we fully supported that. But they've, now made the decision they want to continue playing, and so we support that as well. And we're going to work together to protest, but also compete on the field. So
let's go on and get into the questions. With the USL BPA being created this past weekend, can you just tell us what are the short and long-term goals of your organization?
Yeah, short-term right now, the main focus is we just announced our executive board trying to get some more structure formally with directors and other guys within the BPA affiliated with us, and just continuously creating that structure. Next, short-term as well, is creating different partnerships throughout the country with hopefully maybe the MLS BPC, National Black Coaches Membership, and the National Black Professional Athletes Foundation, just a bunch of other foundations trying to partner with right now. And the long-term goal, honestly, is to get more blacks in the front office, get more blacks coaching opportunities when we finish our careers, get more black players, opportunity to help themselves within the community, their local communities, and make a difference in the community. Just give us a voice. We need a voice in the meetings within clubs. We need some representations in the front office. That's ultimately the vision that we think can happen as soon as next year, honestly. But those are some of the short-term and long-term goals. I don't know if you have some more.
Yeah, and to go along with that, spot on with that. And we also want to, as an organization, we want to provide the players, the members of our organization, educational resources to to excel on the field and off the field. There's a lot of these guys are going to be making, whether they're making a lot of money now, they're going to be making money if they move up to higher leagues. Like, we want to offer them things like financial literacy, right? So they have an understanding of how to use their money and maximize their potential, how to build their brand. There's a lot of guys around the league who have the knowledge and the experience from building, a brand behind their athletic prowess. So now we want to figure out how we can teach other players to do that from a younger age. And Hugh touched on the coaching piece, giving guys the opportunity to get coaching licenses and have those coaching opportunities in each individual market that USL serves.
Okay. And just real quick, I know you guys brought it up, but for our listeners who don't know, who's on the executive board and what are their positions?
So, right now we have an executive committee of 3, Hugh, myself, and Matt Watson at Indy 11. And we're currently working to create a board of directors as well, and they're going to have various positions, whether it's marketing, social media, community relations, partnerships like Hugh talked about earlier. So we'll have a board of, probably 8 to 10 people as well throughout the league, because we've got 47 clubs to cover. We've got a lot of work to get done. We can't just leave it to 3 people. Like, we want everyone in the organization to feel like they have ownership of what we're doing, and they're helping guide us forward, whether it's baby steps or large steps. And so we want guys to be involved and engaged as much as possible.
Okay. And I know we kind of touched on it earlier, but as you guys were saying, this kind of came after MLS Black Players Association. Was the creation of the MLS Black Players Association something that kind of lit the fire underneath you guys, create your own association, or was it something that you guys were already thinking about doing?
Yeah, well, the thing with that is around when they were starting their negotiations and talks, we were also in the same talks, in same room, same podcast, same interviews with them, same group chats, discussing what we all needed, just being a Black soccer player here in this country, period. So, yes, when they did announce, it definitely gave us more of a clear pathway how we should formulate, but talks for us are probably a month in the work before they even announced themselves. So it definitely influenced us, and it gave us leadership and some guys we can connect to and how we want to steer our Black Players Alliance. But we were in the talks a little bit for some time before they announced theirs.
It was definitely motivating to see what they did, in the bubble and when they had announced, and just seeing how they had come together to achieve their goals and their mission. And me and Hugh were talking about, it's like, that's definitely something we can do. That's definitely something we should do. And so we kind of took it upon ourselves to just go ahead and get it organized.
Hugh, you already brought it up, but you guys are looking to do joint work with like MLS and forgive me, I forgot the other one you said. But what are some things you're looking to do with MLS and those other organizations?
So with for example, the National Black Professional Athletes Foundation, they're affiliated with the NBA, NFL, and MLS. So one of our main goals is to get our group and our alliance on a national stage, bringing more notoriety and hopefully more sponsors and just more awareness, so we can continuously grow and give more players opportunities post-career. So that's what that foundation within itself, but with the MLS and with some other local, the National Black Coaches Leadership as well, we want to gain as many resources, and it's kind of, you have power in numbers too. So as many groups and affiliates we can get alongside of us to help steer this ship. We were just in a conversation with some big time players like Michael Beasley, Gujanyiwu and Eddie Pope, and they're kind of giving us some advice on what we should do and then our next steps. So we're listening, building our partnership so we can continuously advance and just show how strong we are and how formulated we are, so we can give opportunities within our communities.
I think the big thing Hugh touched on there is like the power in numbers. Like, we're the Black Players Alliance of the USL, but ultimately we want to affect change in U.S. soccer as a whole. And that's the MLS Black Players goal. That's the mission of a lot of these other organizations that we're talking to, is we want to increase the opportunities for people that look like us in U.S. soccer, whether it's the U.S. Soccer Federation, whether it's MLS, whether it's USL, whether it's grassroots soccer, right? So it just makes sense for us all to work together because we're all working for the same thing. We work within different structures. You know, MLS and USL are different, but at the end of the day, it's all soccer, and it's all a part of one federation that we want to change and change for the better for our people. And so with the partnerships, that's the big goal, is to everyone get aligned, and we're pushing the same message to the USL, to the MLS, to the U.S. Soccer Federation. We demand change. We have to have, this set of goals met. So that's basically a big reason why we want to get a lot of these partnerships.
One of the other things that you guys talked about was impacting change within the coaching ranks and head office positions. So currently in USL right now, we have 4 coaches of color at Rio Grande Valley, Real Monarchs, Hartford Athletic, and there's one more right now that's escaping me. But how are you guys looking to push that initiative, getting more coaches of color within the head coaching position and potentially like front office and management and ownership?
I think a lot of it begins with what you see at New Mexico United, right? We have to give the minority coaches the opportunities to get these coaching licenses that are ultimately going to push them into the higher realms and the higher job opportunities. And so we have to demand transparency from the clubs and the league as a whole, in terms of their hiring practices. When candidates, oftentimes you see, jobs open up, and a week later you see the guy who just lost a job for not winning a playoff game in 5 years. Now he's into another job, right? So it's about transparency. It's about making sure that when opportunities arise, that there's a full scope of candidates that are looked at, and when we can get the education behind that for the Black coaches who, instead of having D license or C license, now we're looking at A license coaches, and there's no excuse for you not to look at those coaches because they have the resume, and all they need is the opportunity now.
Hey guys, after this podcast, go check out our newest sponsor, Non-League America. They give you the most in-depth exploration of the diversity of the United States through the lens of soccer. They're also your source for behind-the-scenes look at soccer culture and the independent amateur club scene. Non-League America is not media in the traditional sense. They are content creators who use no claims to be unbiased. They're also staunch supporters of independent Black-owned clubs, spending money with Black-owned businesses and suppliers, and advocating for systematic change to our system that will give these clubs greater equality and opportunity. You can follow Non-League America and check out their documentaries on Facebook and on YouTube, and the link provided down below. So, if you support us, go support Non-League America.
Right, and that's the thing too. We're always held to a short leash as a Black coach. We get typically 1 year, one chance. If you don't have a successful season, you're done in comparison to maybe a white counterpart who gets X amount of years because they're giving him a chance. And as long as we have the credentials, as long as we come through correct and they see we have our A licenses, Black coaches, we're held on a short leash. So sometimes we only get a year or maybe in half a year, or if we don't have a successful season, we're usually out that office. So we want to have the conversation where every Black coach after their career, they're able to get their A licenses. So when they do get this interview, they have all the credentials and they come through correct. And sometimes these clubs interview us Black coaches for a status quo or some number that they did interview a Black coach, but we don't want that anymore. We want to be knocking at the door saying, hey, you have a head coaching vacancy position. We need to, we recommend so-and-so to fulfill this position. He has all the licenses and the credentials. Here's why, and give him a real interview and a chance. Because we need more Black coaches out there.
Yeah, and to go beyond that, we want Black faces at every power position. GMs who are making decisions on what players come into the club, team president who's figuring out how to steer an entire club, not just on the field, but as a business as well. And within the league office, you'd look at some of the executive roles within the league office. I don't see a lot of minority faces. Now, I also don't know everyone in the league office, so I can't comment on that too much, but that's a discussion to have with the league, because those are the key decisions that are steering this league, and then ultimately steering these individual clubs as well.
One thing that we talked about that you guys mentioned is about holding these clubs accountable. And over the past weekend, we saw some clubs like South Georgia Tormenta, the Richmond Kickers, Charlotte Independence, and others, and Indy 11 and others that were really at the forefront of making their message known. Fort Madison and North Texas and Memphis 901 were at the forefront of making their message known and really showing support. But then you also had other clubs like a Chattanooga Red Wolves or some of the two teams that didn't say anything at all, or that they posted a message way after the fact, after the game, very late. How do you try to hold those clubs accountable?
Well, I don't want it to be a thing where like everyone has to, post on social media and really try and show everything or say a lot of things, because like we've talked about it in a lot of the BPA meetings. It's like gestures are great, but we want long-term change. So can I be mad at a club that they didn't post on social media if they are consistently giving minorities and empowering minorities, giving them opportunities in their front office and in their coaching staff? That means more to me than a post on Twitter and Facebook. So I think the big thing for us is getting behind the curtain, seeing what clubs are actually doing and what we can actually change at individual clubs that will be more impactful for Black people as a whole. And then it's same thing on the flip side. Just because the league or just because certain clubs are posting a lot of great things on social media, that doesn't mean that behind the curtain things are great for minorities in certain positions. So it's more so about how systemically they are changing their organization to be more accepting and more inviting of minorities.
There's a bunch of clubs that I'm learning to find out that, don't really post on social media, but they've been doing a lot of work, giving a lot of minorities opportunities. And the same thing vice versa with clubs saying stuff on social media, but not actually putting in work. So Brandon hit all those points, not really, you don't want to antagonize clubs for not saying anything, but I also encourage players to use their platforms as well, because as clubs start to realize when we use our platforms, start to speak out and fans catch wind of this, that we do have a lot of leverage and power. So a club might not be saying something or, they stay silent, but we also have some leverage and we can also use our platforms. And that's what I kind of did over quarantine and other situations, which led to the independents catching some heat and ended up them being more supportive amongst us. But sometimes it takes us to speak up and use our platforms as well. So we don't really knock clubs or anything at all, but we definitely talk amongst ourselves within the group and, just tell some Black players, use your voice if you want to.
Mm-hmm. You guys talked a lot about increasing the outreach and opportunities for people in the Black community. Can you just speak more on that? And is this something that you're looking to do with each collective club, like each of the 47 cities, or would this kind of be like just a nationwide approach?
I mean, ideally, we'd like to find a nationwide partnership that has branches in most cities that we have clubs in. That way, we can kind of use those branches to filter our larger message. But we'll also look at a lot of local partnerships. There are a lot of guys in our organization who do a lot of great things in their individual markets with a lot of nonprofits, and we would be remiss if we didn't highlight that and also try and work with them to amplify what they're doing on a larger level.
And I don't want to keep you guys too long because I know you guys have a big game tomorrow against Memphis 901. So I just have like one or two more questions. Is that okay with you guys?
Yeah.
Okay. How much presence are you guys looking to have within CBA negotiations, and what are some things that you guys will be asking for within those CBA negotiations with the league?
Well, the biggest thing for us is having someone more specifically within the BPA representing us and being in those conversations. There's not really too many minorities within the CBA agreements or within the USLPA themselves. So we would love to get an ear within those meetings. And when we do get our ear within those meetings, we would love for us to implement some of the things we've been talking about on the show. Some of the things where we want Black coaches in the front offices, but more so affecting the community and locally and affecting change and making long, everlasting change. So we haven't really been in talks yet recently, amongst the CBA negotiations, but our number one goal right now, have a seat within those meetings and those conversations so we can, use our voice and implement change.
And my last question is the USL BPA, would that solely just be for players within the league, or will you guys also be having coaches a part of the league as well? A part of this association as well.
I think it's vital to have the support of, coaching staff, front office staff. We've already had, conversations with a couple different coaches about what we're doing, and they support it. And so if they want to be involved, absolutely. I think it's important for us to have their feedback. They have a different angle on things. They're in the boardrooms or sometimes, and they're in different rooms than we are. Right. So, I mean, like Hugh was saying before, it's important for us to be in as many rooms as possible so that we have our voices heard in as many rooms as possible. So whether that's the USLPA collective bargaining negotiations, whether that's league meetings that we need to be in, and whether it's just, simple coaching staff meetings in every single club, we got to have that representation. So to have them support us and us support them is huge.
Okay. I just want to say thank you guys again for creating this organization, all the work. I know you guys are going to do amazing work. Before we close out, is there anything that you guys want that we didn't quite go over? Anything that you guys feel like we need to address?
I would say, just follow us on social media. We're going to be announcing hopefully a lot over the next few weeks. And the support from the fans, the support from the followers is huge to get our message out there and really make our voices more impactful. So, on Twitter, it's USL BPA. Same thing on Instagram. And we're going to be rolling out our website hopefully later this week, which will give more information and have some more links to get to know the players and get to know our message a bit more.
Okay. Yeah, that's the big thing for me is support. I don't know if you've seen what's been going on here in Charlotte, but over the months since me and Brandon have had a bunch of fan supports and the group supporters backing us up, it's been putting a little heat on the front office within the club. So the more support we get throughout the cities and the communities will be impactful because, again, there's strength in numbers. And, yeah, we just want to get our voice out there. As Brandon said, we have a lot of things coming within this next couple of weeks, so definitely stay tuned for that. But just keep supporting us and, stay tuned to differences that we're going to make within each individual club.
Brandon, I just want to say thank you once again for coming on our podcast and wish you guys nothing but the best.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having us on.